Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Dr. War. Today we have another video where we're going to be graphing inequalities. This is a high emphasis topic on the TASC test where students need to be able to graph the solution of a linear inequality in two variables as a half plane, just as what you see here. So let's begin. Now I'm going to teach this in a very simple manner. I'm not going to get into too much detail, mathematical detail to bore anyone. So simple way to identify your answer. So the question says, which graph best represents the solution set of y less than or equals to 3 over 4x minus 4? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify what type of line we have. And to do that, we're going to look at the inequality symbol. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Because the inequality symbol is a less than or equals to, it means that the line we're looking for is a solid line. So if you have a less than or equals to, or whether it's a greater than or equals to, your line will be solid. Which means if you just have less than or greater than, your line will be dotted. So you'll have like a dash line. So I noticed that this says less than or equals, so my graph has to have a solid line, which means my answer is not G and it's not J. It's either F or H. Now, my inequality sign says less than. Now, if it's less than, it means that the shading you're going to look at will be below because it says less than. So let's look at F right here. And here is our line. And is the shading below? Yes, this is below. The way I think of it, I tell my students, think as you're the stick person right here and you're walking up the line. So if you're walking up the line, then up here is above, which means down here is below. So again, if you're a stick person, let me draw my stick person. So if you're walking up this line, if you look up at this shaded area here, this is above, and above means that it has to be greater than, using that symbol. Below means it has to be less than. So my answer is F. Wasn't that simple? So let's go over it again. If you get these types of problems, the first thing you're going to do, look at your inequality symbol. If your inequality symbol is a less than or equals to or a greater than or equals to, you're looking for a solid line. That should help you eliminate two of the answer choices like I did. Then you're going to look at the inequality sign. Because my inequality sign says less than means that you're looking for the shading that is below. And that's how I identified my answer is F. Here's another problem. Which graph best represents the solution set of y greater than 3x minus 4? So again, we're going to look at the inequality sign. It's greater. So if it's greater, we're going to have a dotted line like this. And if anything is greater, it's going to have to be shaded above. So we're looking for shaded above. So let's start eliminating. So because it's greater, we want a dash line. So your answer is not A or B. So it's either C or D. And again, think of yourself walking on the line. That may help you for some people. I know some people don't know what above means or below. I know it's kind of crazy, but some people do admit that. So think of yourself as walking on the line. So because it's greater, you have to be shaded above. So over here is above. This will be below. Okay, so that's not our answer. So our answer is D, because the shading here is above. So because it's greater, the shading will be above. And your answer is D. Now, wasn't that simple? If you get a question like this on the TASC test, it shouldn't take you no more than 90 seconds, which is a minute and a half. Okay, suppose you have a question like this. Now look at your inequality. It says which graph represents the inequality negative 2x plus 3y greater than 12. Notice this is written in a different form than the previous two. Where do we go to? Our inequality sign. Our inequality sign is greater, which means we're looking for that dashed line. We can eliminate B and D. When you have greater, think about where your shading will be. You're going to have to shade above. And who has the shading above? A. This is above. This is below. Remember, above is for greater, below is for less than. And that's your answer is A. Again, 90 seconds. Let's try it again. If you want to, you can stop the video, try this on your own, unpause and see if you chose the right answer. Let's go. Which graph represents the inequality negative 2x plus 7y, which is less than or equals to 112? Who do we look at? The inequality symbol. So you have less than or equals to, we're looking for the solid line. Because it's less than or equals to, the shading has to be below. We can eliminate A and we can eliminate D. Who's shaded below? Here. So your answer is C. 90 seconds. All right, we threw in a difficult one because I don't know if you'll see something this crazy on the TASC test. It's a little bit different. They give you the graph. They say which inequality is best represented by the graph. So they give you the graph and then you have to choose the inequality. So it's like we're working backwards. So the first thing I noticed from my graph is that I have this dotted dash line. Now we all know if you see a dotted dash line that you're looking for either less than or greater than. Then you're going to look to see where the shading. Now notice the shading is below. Again, if you don't know if it's above or below, think of a little stick figure walking up. So if you're walking up this hill or walking down this hill, wherever you want to go, if you look this way, that's below. And if you look this way, this is above. So your shading is below and below represents less than. So right away, we knew that you could eliminate F because that has the less than or equal sign. You could eliminate H, that's gone. So now your answer is either G or J. So you're kind of stuck because they both have less than. I did say it was difficult. Now to figure out which one it is, we're going to look at our intercepts. So right here, this is our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is at 7. We're going to look at our x-intercept. Our x-intercept is at 4. To get the right equation, this is what you're going to do. I know it seems weird, but it works. You're going to swap. So the 4 is going to go with the y, and the 7 is going to go with the x. You should have 7x plus 4y. So let's see, who has 7x plus 4y? J. So J is your answer. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, what about the 28? Now, in order to figure out the 28, because an equation is always written in terms of y, if I want to get y by itself, I would have to divide by 4, right? Now, if you divide that by 4, you're going to get y is less than 7. And who is with the y? 7. Wasn't 7 your y-intercept? Yes, it was. And that's how I know my answer is J. Without being too mathematical, because no one wants to be that mathematical at this point of time. So I don't know if you'll see a question like this on the TASC test. I scoured through a lot of examples, and this was the only one I found. I couldn't find another one. So let's just hope and pray you don't see anything like this. But if you do, and you have two answers that have the less than sign, and you have to figure out which one it is, locate your intercepts. This was your y, this was your x. Notice how I wrote them. And then I swapped them. I put the 4 with the y and the 7 with the x, and I was able to pick my correct answer. I hope this was helpful. This is a high emphasis topic on a TASC test. My students told me they saw this before. You should be prepared. Again, if you like the content, please subscribe, hit the notification button, and please share, like, comment. If there's a topic that you would like me to explain, just drop it in a comment and I'll get back to you. Have a great day.